It's a beautiful day here in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. We have driven up today to visit the grave of Mr. Rogers. Fred Mcfeely Rogers is buried in Unity Cemetery inside of this family mausoleum, and I will attempt to get a little closer so you can see his grave. He was a pioneer in children's television, and his show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, aired for more than 30 years. You know, and I suspect that a lot of you out there who are watching will feel much like me. You know, when Mr. Rogers would look in that camera and say, you know, it's you I like, or you'll call me his neighbor. I felt like that he was talking to me. And it is such an honor to be able to pay my respects to Mr. Rogers today. I mentioned that this is a family mausoleum. Mr. Rogers is actually buried in here with his parents, and we will take a peek through the glass at Mr. Rogers' final resting place in just a moment. You know, I enjoy doing what I do as far as going around and visiting different cemeteries, and from a historical aspect, I really enjoy it. But there are times and on certain occasions where you are able to pay some respect to someone who really meant something to you and, you know, whose work you really appreciated. And this is definitely the case here with Mr. Rogers. I can remember as a kid, I had a little couch in my room, one that's made for kids, and my dad had given me a little black and white TV. And it would pick up those UHF channels, if you remember UHF. And the local PBS station would come in on that, and I would watch that, and I would sit there, and he would look at that camera and call me his neighbor. I felt like he was talking to me, and you know, some of the topics and things that he would tackle, I mean, he was really revolutionary for his day. He was doing stuff on TV that a lot of people weren't doing. He was talking about the hard topics, the hard subjects, talking about race, and just things that, you know, could be hard to talk about in general. And he found a way to make kids understand and make me understand, and the lessons today would apply today. Those lessons could definitely be applied to today's society, and I feel like we'd be a lot better as a society if we would take some of those simple lessons, simple yet profound lessons that Mr. Rogers would tell us, and apply those to our life. Mr. Rogers created Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in 1968, where he served as creator, head writer, puppeteer, and music composer. The show made Mr. Rogers an unlikely star, proving that his targeted demographic respected him and viewed him as a helper. The show ran for 895 episodes before his retirement in 2001. Now I'm going to give you a little bonus here. Now the mausoleum behind me is where Mr. Rogers and his parents are actually buried. They're all in there, as I mentioned before. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a bonus here and show you the grave of Mr. Rogers' grandparents. They're actually right behind the mausoleum. So I'm going to show you that. And if you stick with me until the end of the video, I've got another bonus that I'm going to bring to you. Here is the back of the mausoleum where Mr. Rogers is buried, and I'm going to pull the camera back so you can see the graves of his grandparents also. As I mentioned, it's an honor to pay my respects to Mr. Rogers and learn more about his roots. And, you know, in general, I enjoyed my visit to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of Pittsburgh, where Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was filmed. Just to give an idea of the impact of Mr. Rogers, he received over 40 honorary degrees. He was presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2002 and an Emmy Lifetime Achievement Award. He was also inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 1999. In his Hall of Fame speech, Mr. Rogers referred to fame as a four-letter word, and what ultimately matters is what we do with it. Now, I told you if you stayed with me until the end that I would give you a little bonus, so here it is. I drove to downtown Latrobe and visited a statue and plaque dedicated to Mr. Rogers, and I thought that you all would enjoy seeing it. The statue, which features a smiling Mr. Rogers sitting on a bench, captures his welcoming personality, and I really enjoyed my visit and would recommend it to any Mr. Rogers fan or any historian in general. And, you know, before I go, I want to welcome all my new subscribers and thank my existing ones as well, and your kind words mean more than you'll ever know. Please find me on Facebook and on Instagram by searching for Whit Docs and join me on my journeys. I would really love it.
We are experiencing growth, and it is an exciting time for my channel. I cannot convey my gratitude enough. Thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it.